How can a horse called Joe make its owner a founder of $1 million business? Stay with us to find out. Welcome to another episode of the CX Show. And no, we're not going to sell any magic horses on this episode. Instead, we're speaking with Neville Richardson, Chief Information Officer at Gallagher. Hi Neville, great to have you on the show.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thank you. Could you tell us the rest of the story about a horse called Joe?
Yeah, of course. So Joe was the family horse of the Gallagher family, and Bill Sr. found that there was some damage to his car. And what transpired was that Joe, when his itchy hind quarters, actually went and used the car as a scratching post. Bill, being an inventive engineer, thought, how can I stop the horse doing this? And actually electrified the parts of the car. And that gave Joe a small shock. And unsurprisingly, he never used the car as a scratching post anymore. That was the genesis of the idea of the electric fence. And our business has literally grown from that start.
And I think this is just the beginning of the story, right? As you said, the business was growing fast, and I guess at some point you realized that you needed to scale. I'm wondering what kind of challenges you were facing.
Yeah, so quite a few challenges actually. The first one was to support the volume and scale needed in our e-commerce and portal space. But that was really coupled with our growth plans, especially in North America, but also other regions in the future. We've also got the challenge of supporting the requirements of two business units. And whilst there are some similarities there are also quite some differences. And one of those differences is the fact that we've got both B2B and B2C models, and that also is dependent on the market in which we're selling. The current portal experience that we had was not uniform, and it was quite clunky. But what we wanted to do was provide maximum visibility and transparency across the business and to our customers, and provide our customers one place to go. So this involved really enhancing our existing customer focus and being slightly less product centric, and really having a platform that both helps us reinvent, but also evolves that experience. So we also wanted to work the way that our customers want to work across any channel going forward.
Neville, you mentioned some great points that I would like to address a little bit later, because first, the important question is why SAP? We have quite a number of competitors out there. How did SAP Commerce Cloud stand out for you? What were some of the features or functionalities that helped Gallagher to address and solve some of its challenges?
So look, the first and most obvious one for us is we already have a large investment in SAP. So we began our ERP journey in the late 90s, and really making that decision at a time when we had a sort of first period of growth has really enabled some of that growth from a systems perspective. Around 6 years ago, we also started a CRM journey. And so having an SAP solution certainly made delivering an integrated system much easier. The second point is a more blunt one, and that is one of the drivers was licensing. So we did put SAP up against other systems, but the licensing implications of doing that was painful. But we didn't want it to be a main driver. And SAP understood that. So they worked with us to deliver a hybrid environment that's got SAP at the core, providing that reliable commerce engine where we needed it, but also allowed for interoperability with some existing systems that we've got, an existing partner with Sitecore. So that delivered a best of both worlds solution for us. SAP is also pretty future-proof. It can grow with us. The accessibility, visibility, and speed of commerce processes was an attraction, as was the ability to scale across different regions. So we've got websites for New Zealand, Australia, Canada, US, and Chile, plus that global site for the rest of the world. Also, we want to automate processes. So buying and ordering is now a process that saves us 5 minutes per order. That may not sound a lot, but when you times that by the amount of orders, it's a significant difference for us. So I hope that gives you some of the reasons why we chose SAP.
Let's dive into some details. You mentioned expanding to different regions, North America, for example, right? You're expanding markets to the United States and Canada. What are some of the key things to look out for when managing e-commerce shops across different regions?
Yeah, so when we went through the project, there's really three main areas that I'd like to single out. The first one is around personalization. So the ability to deliver region-specific information is really important to us. And how we did this was we have a set of logic in the integration layer that is set up via the logged on information. So at the back end, which is fully integrated with ERP and CRM, picks up the relevant prices and discounts from that logic. So that makes it really, really easy. The second one is around product information management. So again, we manage that by IPs if it's an anonymous user, but also the logged on information based on the user's role if they're not anonymous. And we map this then by region. So content editors are then able to maintain a master product catalog. And there's a behind the scenes job that actually regionalize it for them. So we are operating with one product catalog, and that one source of the truth is really, really important. And the final one is around efficiency. So one team manages all regions, and we've really avoided the hydraulics of previous systems. So we did have, especially in North America, a sort of pseudo e-commerce system. So at the front end, that gave a reasonable experience to our customers. But at the back end, there was a lot of hydraulics, so a lot of manual interaction, and we've done away with that altogether. So not only does that introduce those system efficiencies, but also it means that time that used to be spent on hydraulics can now be spent on higher value tasks like customer service and also the insights that we want.
Another point I wanted to follow up on is working with different business models, namely B2B in Australia and B2C in the United States. How did you set up your e-commerce channels to serve the needs of both groups?
So I actually think this is one of the areas where we underestimated managing the differences. So there is, as you've said, a difference between the markets, but also the business units. So we needed something that supports both B2B and B2C. And we can't at the back end manage them separately because there are shared artifacts in the background. So we had to make both of those models work and not choose one over the other. And quite often I think you have to make compromises, and we feel that we haven't. One of the really useful things that we got with the solution was the B2B accelerator. So it made it easier to achieve the B2B modeling and integration to ERP. Because of the differences in approach, this was previously really, really manual for us. And the accelerator that has really allowed us to increase automation. And what that means from a customer is that B2B customers enjoy the same rich customer experience that B2C customers get.
You've had SAP Commerce Cloud for a year now, and I'm wondering if there were one thing you could change about it, what would it be?
Yeah, so changing one thing, I think because of the hybrid approach, we were relying on a seamless end-to-end customer view, and that was one of the primary requirements of the project itself. And this was actually the hardest deliverable. And there's the adage in any project, don't forget the reporting. So actually being able to surface that reporting, which we've been able to do, was a lot more involved and problematic than we thought. And also I would say that we certainly did have some issues in migration, actually with Google ranking and how that can change. So I would say you definitely need to focus on that. Now I know that's two things, but those are the two things that stood out.
Yeah, no, I'm glad there are only two things. Good. These are great points, and I'm wondering what are some of the highlights of the project?
So the thing that really stood out in my mind is we did a successful go live during lockdown. So New Zealand was locked down for over 4 weeks, and perversely, I think that helped because we were absolutely focused on this, and some other things just fell by the wayside. We're also able to switch our ways of working to a completely virtual team within 48 hours. And that was a fantastic effort by all involved. We also had great collaboration across all of the Gallagher business, and we behaved as one Gallagher team, which was lovely to see. And finally, being able to work with partners, to be able to work with both SAP and enterprise-wide that have done this journey before, really, really helped us.
I'm really glad you mentioned enterprise-wide because they will be our guests on the next CX show. So please, everyone, stay tuned for that. As you already started talking about end customers, I'd like to ask you, what are some of the key benefits for them that came as a result of Gallagher's digital transformation?
Yeah, I think we've touched on some of those benefits because there's similar benefits that we see internally. So the first one is we are now providing a single pane of glass for our customers' interactions with us. So the ability just to go to one place and find all of their information there. And we'll obviously build that out in the future. And we're already looking now at how we integrate some of our product dashboards into that environment. Secondly, we talked about this earlier as well, the ability to be able to offer the customer interactions in the way that they want to interact with us. So the whole, multi-channel, omni-channel, call it what you want, we now have those ability to interact across those different levels. And the third one, I think, is the accuracy and some of the other data that we're presenting to our customers. So we're providing them with the ability to actually in real time get the information that they want, and they're not having to call somebody to get that.
With that, we have to wrap up. Neville, thank you so much for joining us on the show and telling us the story about that naughty horse Joe and a little bit about Gallagher business. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And for additional information on what we covered today, please check out the description under the video. Stay tuned for more great topics to come. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss anything. Spread the word and let us know what you think using the hashtag #TheCXShow. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Bye-bye.